Where I am right now, I was an intern. Most of the time, interns I let go. I made sure that I position myself that I get what I want.
I hear you. I want us to discuss something very uncomfortable, and I know people don't agree with me. And this is my opinion. We are a violent nation.
There's so much that we want to do pertaining to intimate partner violence. There's so much that we want to do in relation to violence as a whole. But everybody is coming with an idea, and we are not streamlining our focus to say this is a problem that we have.
Welcome once again to A Chat with Dr. Joe, and I'm your host, Dr. Joe. March, what? This is Feb. We started this last year, February. Our first episode was looking at the month of love, and here we are, 12 months down the line. We've not done as much as we wanted to, but at least we started. And we are hoping that this year we are going to be more than last year. So yeah, welcome. And this is a social podcast. I think this is what I want people to understand. It's a social podcast where we are going to be dealing with issues that really affects our day-to-day lives. So this is why we have this podcast. And we are going to be having another event on the 8th of March. That I would like you guys to attend. It's Mother and Daughter Seminar, where we are going to have Marang Selolwane as one of the speakers, Butumelo Vavani, she's going to be one of the speakers, and Professor Dolin Tsiani, she's one of our speakers. Can you please make sure that you come through with your daughters or with your mothers or with your mothers in love? That is what we are looking for, guys. But today we are back to the month of love. Month of love. People are loving each other. People are being loved. People are being loved differently. So I want us to dive into love and look at the consequences of love, because sometimes we only concentrate on one aspect of love, but now I want us to look at different ways of love. And we have a guest that she will introduce herself and then tell us about few things in love. I hope she's in love. I hope she's being loved. So she will talk to us about love. So ma'am, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Oh,
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the only thing that I'm struggling with, it's dealing with grief. Mm-hmm. I've been thinking this thing is easy, but
It's really never easy, because you're losing people that we love, people that we hold dear, people who are part of our lives, and most of the time losing something that was part of you. It really, really brings that kind of emotion that something has really left. And how do you even go about feeling that gap? Because it's not everything that can actually go to the extent of feeling the kind of love that you felt from something that you lost, or how much that you have attached to that thing and how much it meant to you. Not everything really fits that kind of situation where you have lost something and now you have to move past that situation. It's really, really a difficult situation for most people, because it's not that everyone can move past. Some people just suppress the emotion. Mm-hmm. Some people decide to move on with it, but they get to struggle with it for a long time. Some people just tend to forget, and that memory is erased. You know, it's different from one person to another. So
you know what happened with me? On the 4th of January, that was my birthday. That was the first time my brother was not there.
Yeah.
To say, hey, comrade, happy birthday.
Yeah.
That was the first time I did not have that. I did not even celebrate my birthday. And unconsciously, I wanted to celebrate it. But logic was saying, it's too early.
It's bringing you back to reality.
Yes, now it's bringing me back to reality. And Wes, on the 4th of Feb, 2 days before his birthday, that is when I realized that he is not there.
He's not there.
And I was expecting that he will be calling, say, hey, nso, ke batla cake e ntseng jaana, le jaana, le jaana. And this time around, the reality is he's not there.
Yeah.
And the anxiety, the palpitations, the sweating and all those things started creeping in. And you see, you always say, no, it's just because it's hot, but it's because you are dealing with something.
Yeah. Really, really dealing with grief, it takes time.
Challenge.
Yeah, okay. Dealing with grief takes time.
Yeah.
It's not something that you wake up and you have moved past it. It's something that needs you to apply your mind to even go to the extent of trying to deal with it, and you are not even trying to deal with it because it always comes back. It's more like it's haunting you to say, I am back. Hello, I am back. This is your reality now. You have to live with me. And how do you live that with that kind of experience? How do you live past that? So it's mostly like a problem from one person to another. Some people are much more receptive to the situations that happen to them, mostly when it comes to situations like grief, loss, because these are things that one person might see it as something that they can move past, and other people are still stuck where in that memory of that person, and getting to come out of that memory, it's something that needs you to work on it. Still, you're going to fail because you can at most times you're going to fail trying. You're going to fail, try again, and you're going to be like, okay, no, it's not even happening.
So yeah, I think I'll need to have you back to now come and talk about grief, because there were so many accidents during the month of December, the festive season. So a lot of people are going through a lot. So I'm thinking maybe we should come back and talk about it. But moving on to today's topic, we are discussing love. And before we go there, who are you?
Okay. My name is Hawa. Hawa by the surname Sankwasa. Yeah. So I'm Hawa Sankwasa, and I'm a professional social worker. So I've been in the field of social work, I would say I'm a freshman. I've been in the field of social work for 3 years now. And the things that I've seen on the ground, they're actually a turnaround of challenging me to say what you learned sometimes doesn't apply to where you are, because issues come in different phases. They are complex issues. I have to apply my mind, So the issue around many social ills that we are currently dealing with, your youth unemployment, your gender-based violence, these are human rights issues that really, really had challenged my mind to say, now, Hawa, please stand up and apply your mind.
Before we get straight into the nitty-gritties, I want us to go back and get to know you better. Your name is not common. Your surname is not common. What is Hawa Sankwasa? Where are you coming from?
Okay, my name Hawa is an Arabic name.
It's Arabic?
It's Arabic.
Oh, wow.
It means Eve.
Eve?
Yeah, you're Eve, you're Adam and Eve.
Oh,
the first
okay.
woman to be created on earth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then Sankwasa, going back to family tradition and family ties, I wouldn't say I know. I've asked my parents and they were like, okay, we don't know as well. So I went to my grandmother. Language is a problem for me and my grandmother. So by the way, I'm from South.
How so?
Language is a problem because we are Sobea. I grew up in Gaborone. I wasn't staying in the Chobe.
Oh, okay.
And the language now, because I've grown and the only languages that I know is English and Setswana. So the language is difficult. So my grandmother and Setswana, no. Me and Sobia, no. Not like no, but difficult.
Okay.
Because it's not something that I'm accustomed to on a daily basis. So I'm from Satau, within the Chobe enclave, just after, before Parakarungu.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's me.
So what led you to social work?
Yeah, what led me to social work? It was really about me, because there were other options that I could have chosen, like your criminal justice, your law. But social work really brought me to say, I am a person, first thing. I want to recognize myself as a person first. And social work came at the right time to answer the questions that I had for myself. Because one, I have people who are living around me who are facing social ills that are really, really putting them in a situation that is really dire. And most of the time, we find that there's little to no help for these people. So I was like, okay, I'm here. I can create value within what I can do as a social worker. So that's what led me to actually do social work, because I actually wanted to attend to things that I am facing as a child by then, because I was still a child. I was 18 years old. I thought about, okay, my cousins are going through grief. My mother has went through grief. I've never seen my mother cry. I've never, like, she lost 4 of her family members. And I thought to myself, she's trying to hide this maybe because she's the eldest daughter. And I was like, okay, as a social worker, I even can wear different caps. I can be a counselor. I can be in the area of research. So like, okay, there are so many options in social work. So why don't I choose social work instead of choosing something that is just one way law, and the only thing that I'm going to do there is legal documentations and what. So social work came in handy to say, I can put so many hats even though I'm one. That's how broad I wanted to make myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how was the training? You underwent training how many years? Did you have retakes? Your relationship with your professors? So how was your journey towards becoming who you are? Because from what you are saying, it's been 7 years in the profession.
Yeah.
So how has it been?
The journey was bittersweet, but most of the time it was sweet, because I enjoyed being there. Because I applied my mind and I was ready to be a social worker, unlike if I wasn't ready to be a social worker. So I underwent an undergrad for 4 years from the University of Botswana. The journey was really great. I'm one person who likes applying myself. So the relationship that I had with my professors and lecturers was quite good. I wouldn't say I had a problem with it. I wouldn't say it was difficult to engage with them. They were really open people. I wouldn't say...
I hope they're still open.
Yeah, they're still open.
Oh, okay.
Like,
great.
yeah, they're still open people. They're not afraid to say, I need you to come and help me with something. I need you to come assist me with something. And I'm also open to them to say, if I have time, I have to make time. Even if I don't have time, I would make time to say, okay, let me squeeze this person, because they made me who I am. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. The time that they committed to me, the efforts, and the continued love and support that they had given me, I really, really do appreciate that they have actually made my journey through my academia such a sweet one, which makes me say I still want to go back to school.
Okay, that's great.
And expand.
I love school.
Yeah, I love school.
I love school. And I was this week. I'm writing a paper on youth entrepreneurship, and I've been reading around youth unemployment, youth entrepreneurship, and what I came to realize is that all other outlets are saying youth unemployment is at 54%. Statistics Botswana is saying it's almost at 40%. And January we saw papers writing about 1,100 social workers who are unemployed.
True.
So how did you get a job?
You know, I'm a person who does this and that. You wouldn't believe for me to say I've worked across 6-7 organizations for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
The only 3 years that I have been a professional social after graduation.
Okay.
I got my first job before I even graduated, because I maintained the competence and the love for my profession. I was recognized to say, we need this person. So my first appointment, like really employment contract, I practiced at the Duku refugee camp. I was a social worker. So if you ask me UN procedures concerning refugees and asylum seekers in Botswana, I think I would have like a broad overview and explain very well the type of work that I was doing, the type of people that I was attending to. I even got to gain more and more experience and apply myself from academia, now applying it to practice. So having to find a job, for me, is not about a job. It's about the impact that I would make.
Okay.
That's why I've worked across so many organizations only as a I still consider myself a freshman. So where I am right now, I was an intern. Most of the time, interns I let go. I made sure that I position myself, that I get what I want.
So what I always say is that position yourself for grace to locate you.
True.
You don't hide yourself from the grace. So your hard work always makes people see you.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 7 organizations, exposure to so many issues. You're talking about refugees, asylum seekers, other organizations. What have you been exposed to in terms of social issues in this country? I don't want to say social ills. I want to say social issues. What have you been exposed to?
I've been exposed to so much. Having extensive experience in legal frameworks. As a social worker coming from varsity, you don't have a roadmap. You only discover yourself or your craft when you get on the ground. That's where you realize the real issues and how they come to be. So the state that I have positioned myself and the exposure that had come after really influenced how I look at things. So I would say how I have been exposed to the social issues is that I've come to build myself as in a person who likes a lot of legalities, to say for things to move, legal frameworks have to be there, your policies, your acts, and your everything. So most of the time, I look at our acts, our legal frameworks, our policies, our regulations, and try to apply them to what is happening on the ground. And having that experience, I realized the gap in our legal frameworks and in our regulation to say, okay, what our current trends are not really featured in our policies, our legal frameworks. So having to extensively critique what's happening in the legal space, I'm able to feature myself very well within the practical space, because I'm able to identify that this is a gap, this is a gap, this is a gap, but there's nothing that is said within our legal framework. So I'm really intrigued, and I love a lot of identification within our laws to say, this is what is leading us here. If we could have filled this gap, then probably we couldn't be having this at this much higher rate.
Yeah.
So
I hear you. I want us to discuss something very uncomfortable, and I know people don't agree with me. And this is my opinion. We are a violent nation.
True.
We are a violent nation. I don't want to keep it to gender-based violence. I want to open it and say we are violent. And then from there, I'm saying there are pockets of violence that we need to address. And one of those pockets is intimate partner violence, IPV. That people who are in relationships, whether male and male, female and female, are violent against each other. And then domestic violence, where now children are also involved in this violence. And then murder, where people on the streets are killing each other. So what is your take in this issue of violence, especially considering that it is Valentine's month, it is month of love. So what is your opinion in terms of violence in this country?
Violence in Botswana is a very I wouldn't say it has went past concern. It really has.
It's a crisis.
It's a crisis. It's a pandemic.
It's a pandemic.
It's something that needs people to sit down, cool off, and re-strategize. There's so much that we want to do pertaining to intimate partner violence. There's so much that we want to do in relation to violence as a whole. But everybody is coming with an idea, and we are not streamlining our focus to say this is a problem that we have. And it has even went beyond being a problem. And what I've identified with Botswana is that we are trying to remedy the outcome. But we're not trying to address the
root cause.
The root cause.
Yeah.
We want to beautify, we want to attend to a person being a survivor, but not attending to the protective measures before they even become a survivor. So having to attend or remedy to the outcome of the situation, it really, really has proven that it's not working for us, because we are always looking for places of safety. The police are trying to curb people from killing one another. But what have we really, really done at familial level, at individual level, before we even get to national level? What are the things that we are trying to explore? Currently, I don't think there's really, really much being done at individual level, given that now perpetrators are taken as people who are of concern and want to rub out of society, given that if it goes to an extent of murder, then we feel that you no longer serve as a human being within the social context.
I think from what we've been saying, it shows that this issue is big. It needs a lot of thinking, a lot of reflection. And I also think we need to have an attorney when we are discussing it, so that they can also put in the legal frameworks that we were talking about, putting everything to perspective, the constitution, the penal code, while you are addressing the emotion and the social environment. So I was looking for the impact, but I think the impact of violence, especially on children, because you are working with children. Yeah. So briefly, what is the impact of this violence on children, and what kind of adults are we going to produce out of this violence?
The kind of adults that we are going to be producing out of this violence is people who went through trauma. So they're going to relive the trauma through other people. We are going to have people who are violent through the experiences that they have went through. We're going to be having people who are now emotion suppressors. They're not productive as we'd want them to be, because violence affects so many aspects in a person's life. And having to go through violence as a child, because you are conditioned to a situation that you are not supposed to, and you get accustomed to those practices. And violence in children really, really is a problematic thing, because now, one, children are people who receive information quite easily, and they don't have that manipulative factor to say, I pick what I want to pick, as compared to us adults to say, we are responsible for the information that we take. For them, it's different, because you give, they take. They don't have that like we do. So violence that happen in the presence of children, it really, really brings about children who are traumatized. One, children who cannot perform. The reason why maybe we having the last JC results reflects a lot on how bana ba godisiwang ka teng in terms of kolapeng, in the community, and where they are everywhere in the world. So these are things how they tend to affect you mentally, physically, emotionally, economically, and even your freedom of how you think, because everybody has to have a freedom of how they think and how they see things. Now, what they see is violence, and they're only accustomed to that. Yeah.
Banjura, Erik Erikson, social learning theory.
True.
You learn through observation and imitation. In simple terms, monkey see, monkey do.
True.
Thank you very much for your time. I'm hoping very soon we are going to be having part 2 of it, and you will bring someone to add on to what you've been saying. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for today, and I hoping that you will watch and share, like, subscribe, and share our podcast. We want to have more people watching. We want to heal. The last episode, a lot of people sent me DMs saying that, you healed us. I was in that place and I never knew I was there. And we are hoping that with this one also, we will start thinking and reflecting. So see you next time.